Hello and welcome to another episode of the Good Hearted Podcast. Today, I'm so excited about talking about the difference between spending your time on something and spending your money on something and what might be better for you and more of a value to enhance your life, make it better, make it easier, because that is what I am all about. In several of these podcast episodes, I strive to talk about self-love practices, ways that you can make your life easier and simpler. And this is a big one. If you've been here for any amount of time, you know that there was a time when Dylan and I were newly married and we were broke. And even now we have one child and one income. And so things are tight sometimes. And money has always been something that I've tried to save in any way possible. But sometimes it is worth my sanity to pay for something that is going to take less of my time. And so it's always just good for us to acknowledge these things, take them into account, and just reevaluate from time to time to see if there's anything we can do to simplify our life, make it easier, and then determine whether or not we're willing to spend our time to save a little money or spend our money to save some time. I don't want this episode to be super long. I just want to get to the point because I want to save you time right now. Now that I'm a mom, I realize how valuable my time is. As a business owner, I always try to do things to save myself time because so much of the time, I'm saying time a lot, but so much of the time I have traded my time for money, hour to hour, most of the time. And honestly, that gets really tiring. If you go to work, you might feel the same thing, or if you have your own business, having some kind of service that you're charging for and trading your time for money can just be exhausting sometimes. So it's always nice to try to get ahead of that if you can. So when I was a business owner and then becoming a mom, I was like, okay, I've got to save time because I just don't have it anymore. I don't have excess time that I don't know what the hell to do with. So instead, I need to become more efficient and maybe even spend money on some things that will make my life simpler. So the first way that I really save my time and money is by saying no to things I don't want to do. You guys know I love the word no. I love not committing to things that I don't want to do. And this saves me the stress, anxiety, and pressure to get ready for something, perform at whatever this thing is, and then deal with whatever feelings come after that. If I feel regretful that I wasted my time, or if I bought something that I'm never going to use again for this one thing, I'm realizing that it's just not worth it to me anymore. And if somebody's asking me to do something and I'm not going to enjoy it anyway, it's probably just better for everybody that I say no from the get-go. So this might mean I don't have to go to some kind of event and bring a plate or buy something specific for the event, like a nice dress that I'm never going to wear again, or some kind of special whatever, fill in the blank, right? We all get invited to all kinds of different things, festivals for kids or fundraisers or some kind of church program or party that we're just not interested in. So we need to stop wasting our time and just say no. It feels uncomfortable at the beginning when you first start saying no, but most of the time, I really don't think you're going to regret saying no if it doesn't feel right in your gut or in your heart to say yes to that thing. Because if you say yes and you're not mentally or emotionally prepared to deal with that obligation, you might end up resenting that person or just regretting the amount of time, money, or energy you have spent on it. You can also say no to things that you don't want to buy. So just because something is on sale does not mean that you have to buy it. If you are in the market for one specific thing and it goes on sale, definitely buy it. But just ask yourself, like, would I buy this thing that's on clearance for $9 if it was $900? And think about that as if you had the $900 to spend on it. Is it really that valuable to you, or is it just an easy grab? So just try to avoid those sale sections if you cannot help yourself from grabbing something off of the shelf that you really don't need. Another way that I try to save my money is by not physically going into stores. I realized during the pandemic how much money I saved because I wasn't out at Target and TJ Maxx and Home Goods constantly constantly being enticed by all of these cute things that I could add to my home. So now I still spend a good amount of time shopping, but it's just from home. It's from the comfort of my bed, it's from my couch, it's in the middle of the day when I'm sitting outside and just relaxing, but I'm not spending the time to drive somewhere, walk through the store, end up buying 50 things that I was not trying to buy and not finding the one thing I was looking for. Instead, I can do some intentional research, and that normally means watching YouTube videos endlessly for one specific thing that I need or I want. And then I just try to go to Amazon and I add it to my wish list or I add it to my cart, watch for it to go on sale, or if I need it right then, I just buy it instead of going into the store, trying to find it, not being able to find it, finding an associate, asking for help, feeling awkward about it, then just hoping that it's in stock or something like that. And along the way, I've picked up tons of other things that I don't really need to buy. And then usually I end up feeling frustrated for how much time I quote unquote wasted shopping. Shopping is just not something that I enjoy like I used to when I could just go for hours and hours and be more than happy just browsing through things. I just don't have that time anymore. And so it stresses me out more when I go out shopping and I can't find what I'm looking for. So normally shopping online saves me some money and some time because I'm not buying the extra things and I'm not spending tons of time aimlessly walking around in sections that I don't even need to be looking at. So another way I love to save time and spend my money is through outsourcing and or automating things. So I don't do the outsourcing part as much now that I don't have a wedding photography business. But when I was a business owner, I would outsource my editing, which was a huge time saver. Yes, it was an investment, but my time was more valuable to me than the $150 or so that I would spend on having somebody else edit my photos. And that price obviously varied from time to time, depending on how many photos that I had from the shoot and things like that. So outsourcing saved my sanity and hours sitting in front of my computer editing photos. Somebody else got paid for doing that and actually enjoyed doing it. I couldn't stand it. I hated editing. So that was a great way for me to outsource, spend a little bit of money, but help my mental health and get more jobs in and more work done on my business versus kind of in my business. So another thing I love doing is automating. So I will do auto pay for any bills that I can. I auto schedule my YouTube videos and my social media posts. Every once in a while, I have to do some things manually, but even these podcast episodes, I'm able to schedule ahead of time so that in the moment, I don't have to stop everything I'm doing to publish something. So instead, anything that I can do ahead of time and kind of batch it out saves me time in the long run and at least that sanity of not having to rush and drop everything to get something done. So when it comes to the home, automating things and outsourcing things, I always like joke with Dylan that some things I outsource to him. So like certain chores, or if I really need help getting something done. And really I got this idea from Mary Moran's because when I went to her and Justin's walk through a wedding workshop that they had at their house several years ago, and we were all just kind of hanging out on the beach. Some people were out taking pictures of the model. Some people were just kind of hanging around talking and networking and all of that. And so I was standing over by Mary. And then one of the other photographers asked for help with the lighting situation for the model. And so Mary asked Justin to head over there with his diffuser to like help with this situation. And then she like looked over at us. She was like, see how I outsourced that? And it was just so funny. I loved that moment. And so ever since I joke about outsourcing stuff to Dylan or to someone else. So trying to get things off of my plate is just always so good for me. So if Dylan is relaxing, and he of course needs that time, but if there's something I'm trying to get done quickly or I'm just feeling overwhelmed, I'll just say, hey, can you take 5 minutes and help me with this? Or we've also been very good about communicating, me asking for help, but him also asking, okay, what can I help with to get us out the door? And then I can offer the things that I'm comfortable with him taking. So that could be getting the diaper bag together, making sure the food is pulled out of the oven. Like it could literally be anything. And now that I'm thinking about it, one thing that he does that I don't do is give Harper a bath. So we normally bathe her about every other night, every 2 nights, something like that. And we both did it together. We loved giving her a bath together. And now that she's older and busier and just like all over the place. I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm okay stepping away from bath time, and Dylan loves doing bath time with her because he doesn't get to spend all day long with her. He loves playing with her in the bath. It is his thing. If I ever come in the bathroom, it is to help him. He is the one that is his thing. He leads the charge. I'm just there to help if and when he needs it. But now normally I just go into the bathroom, help draw the water if I need to, and give Harper a kiss, and then her and Dylan, do the bath time routine. And it's great that they have those moments together. It's also great for me to be able to step away and I can work on the dishes or just clean up all the toys from the day, get my clothes or Harper's clothes ready for the next day. Like there's always just a couple things that I can get done really quickly in that 10 or 15 minutes that it takes for him to give her a bath. Another thing I'm really working on doing to save my time and potentially my money is just choosing one option and sticking to it. So this could be so many different things, but one example I think of is when Harper was a baby, and all of the baby things I read was that, babies have a preference when it comes to pacifiers, bottles, breast, like all of those things. And it is your job as a parent to present them with options. And I even saw on like Babylist, they had like this box of different bottles, and they were all different styles, did different things, had different advantages and disadvantages. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, am I going to have to invest in 20 different bottles just to see what my baby is willing to drink from? And so when it came to buying all of the baby things, because there's so many things out there, so many people say that you have to have these different things. I tried to take all of that advice with a grain of salt. I did tons of research, more than I probably should have, but that's because that is just who I am. I love to know all the options. I love to know all of the details and to make the most informed decision. And so I did that by watching tons of YouTube videos, reading tons of blog articles, but it also was extremely overwhelming. And what I had to do was take all of that advice as a starting point and then just go with my gut and see what felt good. And so what felt good for us with Harper was to do the Comotomo bottles, and they are my favorite. I loved them, but I have nothing to compare them to. I did not give her any other option. In the NICU, they did use Dr. Brown's bottles, and I ended up having one of those. I got it as a free sample or something. And so at one point when we were trying to go to the bigger bottles that held more milk, we tried a Dr. Brown's, and she was like not having it. At that point, she was used to the Comotomo, and it just felt nice that like I didn't have to have another option for her, that she was happy with the one that I gave her. Because I found that just like me, she gets overwhelmed when she has too many options. So just doing the research yourself if you need to, whatever makes you feel comfortable, deciding on one thing and just stick to it. Because if you don't, you'll end up spending time and money trying out new systems, new products, new routines. And ultimately, at the end, you will be out some money or out some time or just stressed. And this is hard for me to say because I am an Enneagram 7, okay? I like to be crazy. I like to mix it up. I like to have so many choices, but I do find it so much better when I just choose one thing and I try to like let it go for that time period. I try not to obsess over it anymore. And one thing I've really struggled with lately is with Harper and her playtime and making sure that I have good educational toys for her or things to help her get the wiggles out or just to be teaching her things throughout the day. And there's so many different methods and advice out there for how to do that. But again, I just kind of have to go with my gut. I can ask people in my life that I trust, that I feel like would give me good advice or solid advice based on their own experience. But then I have to just take that and go my own way. That's all we can ever do. So if you're like me and you find comfort in doing the research, do the research. But then once you make that choice on that product or that streaming service or meal delivery service or whatever it is, just stick to it. Don't spend time or money trying out all of these different things. At least not right away. Try something out, see if it works for you, see it through, then you can reevaluate if you need to. But I promise most of the time, you're not even going to remember any of those other options that you looked at. And you're going to be so glad that you moved on to the next thing versus focusing on this one decision and never actually making it. I hope these couple tips really help you consider the time and the money that you're spending a little bit more when you make decisions moving forward, because both of those things are so valuable and precious. Time is something that you can never make back. Your money is hard earned, at least most of the time. So neither of those things should feel wasted. I want you to feel empowered when you're making these decisions on how to spend your time and money so that you don't always feel like you're wasting it. Yes, sometimes we spend money or we waste time at the mall and you get mad and angry, at least like I do, and question all of your decisions in life just based on that one bad thing that you decided on. But we take it as a learning experience and we move forward. Maybe you don't ever buy from that particular company again, or you decide that you're only going to shop online from Target from now on because you end up spending, the $20 that you actually wanted to spend versus $120 because you browsed through and picked up a lot of other things that you didn't really need that were more of an impulse buy. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to share it out with somebody, just because I feel like sometimes we need that little inspiration or encouragement to take hold of our life and our finances and our time and be in charge of it again. Sometimes it's hard to do that because so many things are trying to get our attention constantly, to get in our wallet or to take up our time. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like and subscribe so that you never miss any future ones, and I will see you in my next video.